Special meeting of 7 o'clock Tuesday, August 29th, here in council chambers. Noel, will you call the roll?
Tim Slocum,
Here.
Don Walsh.
Here.
David Corey,
Present.
Peter Talbot, Sylvia Nichols.
Here.
David Belver,
Here.
Andy Pagano. Here. John Malone, and Jen James. Marcus present.
Please rise for the pledge.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this is our second meeting of the month, and it includes a few items. We will begin with the approval of budget transfers for fiscal year 2022 to 2023. Mr. Bowery.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Budget Committee met earlier and reviewed the items on the list. It's $201,000 worth of transfers, which is less than the usual amount of $215,000, so less than 2%, 0.2%. So it's very, very tight control. Excellent job on behalf of our department heads and, of course, our town manager and his leadership. And with that, I move, be it resolved that the town council approves resolution 082923-1. Be it resolved that the town council approves the budget transfers as presented and attached for fiscal year 23 budget.
We have a motion. Thank you for the second. Mr. Walsh, discussion.
As I said earlier, I think if anybody has any questions on any of them, we'd be happy to explain in more detail if that's your preference.
Well, basically, all the money stays in the same place. It's just
Right.
being moved around.
It still allows
Bottom
an
line,
under
it's,
expenditure of about $350,000.
It's under tight control of management. That's great. Fantastic.
And the
The
first one
auditors
we
do
should
otherwise.
appreciate. It was the carpet and the redoing of the room around here.
Right.
And some of these things here is much of that 27,000 in the town council.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, I'll call for a vote on the matter. Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously of those present. Now brings us to number 4, the acceptance and appropriation of $500,000 grant from the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development for the Regional Community Arts and Entertainment Space, Parks, South Great Lawn. Mr. Malone.
See, so I have the right one. Okay, be it resolved that the town council approves resolution number 8. To be it resolved that the town council accepts and appropriates a $500,000 grant from the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development for the Regional Community Arts and Entertainment Space at Bartlam Park South's Great Lawn.
We have a motion, we have a second. Discussion?
I'll hand it over to the town manager to explain.
Sure. Yep. So this is a $500,000 grant that the town of Cheshire was awarded through the Bond Commission in June at their June meeting. This is going to be funded through the Department of Economic and Community Development. And so this will formally accept the grant and appropriate the funds towards, and I know there's a long title in there, but it's basically the band shell portion of the project, which we knew we were seeking that additional funding to close as we awarded the project initially. So we're very thrilled to have this, and this keeps the entire project very much on budget and allows us to do the vertical construction of the band shell component of Bartlam Park South.
Any other questions? Terrific. It's hard to say no to money, so I'll call for a vote anyway. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously of those present. Okay, we now call for number 5, which is the authorization to apply for a $5,000 AARP Connecticut Livable Communities Grant to create a low-impact exercise and wellness space for seniors at the Cheshire Senior Center. Ms. Nichols.
Well, you just about said it. This is resolution 082923-3. Be it resolved that the town council authorizes the application for a $5,000 AARP Connecticut Livable Communities Grant to create a low-impact exercise and wellness space for seniors at the senior center.
We have a motion, we have a second. Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Any discussion?
Discussion basically is this is just applying for a grant that would help the senior center make spaces available for these programs for seniors. We'll just wait to see if we get the grant.
Terrific. Any other questions, comments? Okay, I'll call for a vote on this. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. This leads us on to 6, which is the approval of extension to temporary access permit for Eversource. Mr. Veliver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Be it resolved, the Town Council approves Resolution 082923-4. Be it resolved, the Town Council approves a successor 18-month temporary access permit with Connecticut Light and Power Company doing business as Eversource Energy over the property at 866 Boulder Road and Cook Hill Road, Cheshire, Connecticut 06410. And be it further resolved, the Town Council authorizes Town Manager Sean M. Kimball to execute the permit agreement per the terms and conditions presented.
We have a motion, second. Thank you. Who was the seconder? Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is simply a 18-month extension of the existing access permit that we have with Eversource. This is same terms as what we had before, just an extension. Eversource has requested an 18-month extension for this area. Access is needed for the Eversource Southington to Cook Hill Junction rebuild project. This project is designed to bring the electric supply system serving the towns in central Connecticut into compliance with current national and regional reliability standards. And the project will also provide greater flexibility in operating the power grid, thereby improving Eversource's ability to reliably meet Connecticut's consumers' electric needs in the area. And so this access agreement, as I said, is identical to the previous agreement and is simply extending the term for 18 months.
Any questions, comments? I, for one, had seen where that had recently been approved by the Siting Council, Sean, and it seemed to indicate there was 2 crossings in Cheshire. I don't know if this is all incorporated or if we'll have more of these to see. There's, tens and tens and tens of monopoles that are being replaced. It's a very substantial project. But I guess to my question would be, any sense of the duration of that project? It wasn't clear from the Siting Council's information on it, but it was interesting to read. It's a big project.
It is a big project, and I'll have to follow up to confirm. I don't have that readily available, but I can certainly ask.
There's a hunk of Cheshire in the that sort of is near the Meriden line.
The Meriden line, correct. There's
Right.
a part in the northeast of the town, and then
It's
this
not very
part.
much. It's not very much, and maybe no residential properties are even close to it. I don't really know, but I just didn't know if there was another one coming for us or if that's going to be part of another town's.
I'm not aware, but I'm not sure if either Arnett or Mike or anyone else. No, but we can get an answer.
It's fine.
send it out.
It's fine. It'll happen when it happens.
Sure.
Okay. But I think that project is supposed to get underway fairly soon. I mean,
That's my understanding. as
Yep.
well.
so people will see stuff happening. Thank you for that. I'll call for a vote on that. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we now go to 7, the bid waiver for procurement of effluent pumps for the Elmwood Pump Station. Mr. Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Be it resolved that the Town Council approves Resolution Number 082923-5, whereas it is necessary that the town procure 3 new dry pit submersible non-clogging pumps for the Elmwood Pump Station. And whereas the Elmwood Pump Station is the most critical sewer pump station in town. And whereas the lead time on the delivery of the pumps is anticipated to be 12 weeks. And whereas town staff reviewed estimates and agrees that the flight pumps, if I have that correct, would be best suited for the pump station. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Council pursuant to Section 7-8C11 of the Town Charter finds it is in the best interest of the town to waive the bid for the purchase of said pumps. Therefore, the council approves a waiver of bid for the purchase of 3 new dry pit submersible non-clogging pumps and authorizes the purchase of said equipment from Fleet for the flight pumps.
Thank you. We have a motion, a second. Thank you, Sylvia. Discussion.
I believe our town engineer and our acting supervisor will be best to explain what
Taking the table.
non-clogging pumps are.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Mr.
Explain
Chairman.
away.
Thank you, Commission. Basically, we're here for a bid waiver of the procurement of the pumps. The reason is exactly what was said, is that we're trying to get ahead of the game. The leeway is between 12 and 18 weeks, actually. So if we waited to go to bid, We'd have to go through that process, which is about a 6-week process. Then you have to go through contract execution, and then they would order the pumps, and then you'd have the additional 12 to 18 weeks beyond that. The second part of it is that we're not sure if we're going to actually be installing all 3 pumps at the same time or 2 of them and then install one down the road. It depends on how the cost of the installation is going to be. But what we would like to have is all 3 pumps on hand, so they're all the same brand, same consecutive serial numbers, so they're all together and ready to go. And it also it cuts out the middleman. It cuts out the markup that the contractor is going to put on it anyway. And the 2 prices that we did receive are local vendors that would probably be used anyway during that contract or during that future RFP. Also, Dave Milano is here for any operations questions or issues with the pump station itself. I do understand that part of the pump station did go down at the last storm. So just
the last rainstorm, we actually lost the motor for our channel grinder, which is what makes it, easier for the pumps to pass any big objects. So that's not online right now. With these new pumps, we would not have to worry about replacing that channel grinder. We could actually remove it entirely. The price to replace that is anywhere from $40,000 to $50,000 alone. So we wouldn't have to have that any longer because the pumps can handle, big debris, which that station sees a lot of them because it's actually an interceptor station for other stations in town. So right now we're manually raking the bar screen, which is not ideal, but these pumps would alleviate that immediately, which would save energy as well because that grinder runs 24 hours a day when it is online.
Any other questions, Don?
So this is a 12 weeks to get it delivered. Then how long to install them?
And then the construction go out to bid, right?
yeah, we don't know that.
So-
Once we go forward, we're going to have to put an RFP out there for actually the installation. And the way we're going to be setting it up is we're going to ask for a bid for installing 2 pumps with a bid alternate to install the 3rd pump. So we're ready to go either way.
So, I mean, we're going to have the 3 pumps. Is it less expensive to have all 3 pumps installed at the same time, or is it?
We won't know until we actually go through that process. But what we want to do is get the pumps. So once we're going to go forward with the RFP for the installation. By the time that is all executed, we'll already have the pumps in hand and everything should be able to go in smoothly.
But the issue with what just failed during the last rainstorm, we could still manually do it for the next 12 to 15 or whatever, 20 weeks, whatever we have
Yeah.
to. So
Yep.
Fingers crossed, but yes.
Yeah.
we will keep our fingers crossed. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, and as they're saying, basically, we'll use that lead time to go through the construction bid process, RFP process, so that by the time we're done, they're in hand, we can start the project right when they're done. And that would be contemplated in the actual bid documents so people know what they're bidding on.
We've already talked to our consultants and he said about 4 to 5 weeks to get the RFP ready to go out.
Okay, Mr. Bowery, then Mr. Jenks, then Mr. Malone.
Thank you. Just this at $196,000, part of the $475,000 plan, is it about what was expected? So we'll still be able to do the other items that were part of the overall project, or is this a really good number?
I think it's less than we expected. It was actually
Believe it
a
is.
very good number. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So be able to get everything done. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're on track.
Good.
Good evening. I'm sorry, just so I understand, is this for a pump that has already failed, or is this just to anticipate, that's near the end of its life kind of thing?
Exactly.
That's what
Yeah,
it is?
yeah.
Okay. And then, so I see that you mentioned there's 2 local vendors. They're sort of more or less the same price. By local, you mean Connecticut vendors or just regionally?
Regional. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel like there may be, is that kind of what the market is at, that rate for these pumps? I mean, if you were to go talk to another, 4 or 5, more or less the same price, you think?
I would say so, yeah. So originally, when Ray Pierce did the evaluation, I think we had estimates for bigger pumps for the pump station, but they did another evaluation, and actually it was downsized from what was originally proposed. So I believe these pumps are a little bit smaller.
Okay. So we're pretty comfortable where the price is what you're saying.
John Malone.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, these numbers are real good.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Malone?
Jim kind of hit on what I was going after, but I was just curious. So you didn't go out to bid, but you got two prices, and they're very similar. So that's a good check, even if it's not a more formal system. But how did you decide to go with the pumps you decided versus the other one? Because the prices were almost identical. Are they similar to other pumps we have in town? Is there continuity there or something? What was the basis of deciding to go with that? Just $1,000 difference, or was there more to it?
To me, in my industry, flight pumps are really high end. They're good quality. I worked with them in Southington. We had a lot of them at our pump stations, had great success. And they actually offer a self wet well cleaning system with flight. So you won't have to have vendors or outside contractors coming in to clean the wet wells. They'll actually suck the pit down all the way, and it has a self-cleaning mechanism to it. So that's why I decided to go with the flight pumps for that reason.
Do we have continuity with other pumps? And I'm just curious, in our pump stations, or are they just what
We
they
have
are?
Homa is one of the name brands that I've seen a lot in our pump stations, which
Mhm.
I'm not familiar with, but I think Flight would be best for Elmwood just because of the quality, and that being the heart of the town. I would go with that.
Thank you.
Ms. Nichols?
I think this sounds proactive, not reactive, but my question is, what happens if this 12 weeks or 20 weeks or whatever it takes to get all this done, something happens in the meantime? Do we have a plan? Because we can't be without that pump station. And you say these are at the end of their life? What happens if there's an emergency or a storm comes and they're overdone? How do we protect against?
If there was an emergency, we would have to go into bypassing,
Okay,
which is an expensive task. So we're trying to eliminate getting there by doing this early on.
good. Well, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, we talked briefly during the capital budget process a little bit, but the cost of bypass is in the tens of thousands of dollars a week, really. It can be, right? And so it very quickly adds up to the cost of not being proactive, to your point.
So I think proactive is the right way to go.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Dave.
Just a question. If you talked about maybe putting in two, or maybe three, what's the difference just mechanically, obviously, but between determining whether you have two in there or three in there, like whether you need them all replaced at the same time, or whether you just go with two, or are there two in there now?
There's three.
Three in there now.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they alternate.
Okay. So if we put two in, we've replaced the two that are the two that we have on order. We're thinking that maybe we can get away with just having two in there instead of all the three that are in there now. Or are you keeping?
No, we want to order all three. and get
Right.
all
I know you want to get them all three.
installed.
Oh, okay.
It's just, do we get two installed now and wait to get that third one installed later on?
Okay. That's what I was.
So if
So
we're,
I was
if
trying to
we're
figure out
over
what.
budget, then we won't be able to do the third pump.
Okay.
But we
I
can
was,
maybe do that next year. But
Yeah, I
at
was
least
just-
we'll have the same serial number, same pump, everything's going to be
right.
the same.
I was just trying to figure out if there was a difference if you were making a determination that, okay, maybe we can do two and then keep one on reserve or something of that nature. So, okay. I was just curious how that worked.
Yeah, you always
mechanically.
need to have two. So
Right.
one would be replaced, so you'd have the two going
Right.
while one is being replaced, and then
Yep.
you just keep alternating.
Thank you.
Sandy?
Thank you. I just want to ask a small question. What was the longevity of the pumps that you are replacing?
The
Approximately.
current pumps that are in there now.
Yeah.
I believe they're about 20, 25 years old.
Is that a
somewhere around there.
normal?
Yeah, I mean, it's they're in the end of their serviceable life. Yeah.
Fire truck.
I think that pump station was in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
94,
Something,
93,
yeah.
94 is when it was installed.
Yeah.
So that era.
We got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, almost 30 years now?
Yeah.
I had one sewer-related question. Going back to not this past Friday, but the one before when we had torrential rains coming down. How many gallons were going through the pump that morning? I mean, there was surface water everywhere.
Yeah.
Did you lose sight of it, or?
The plant was seeing around 8 million gallons of inflow on Friday,
Mhm.
which, yeah, we have a lot of I&I, but we held our own.
Yeah.
We lost the grinder at Elmwood. We lost a few processes, but we got them all back within 24 hours. None of the generators fired on, so we weathered the storm. but we did see a lot of
It
water.
was an amazing mess to be stuck in. I was
Yeah.
out driving and I know how incredible that storm was.
Oh, yeah.
And
it
thankfully,
was-
it was short-lived. It didn't
Yeah.
really last a long time.
Yeah, we had no sanitary sewer overflows. The
Mhm.
plant handled the flow good, and we got back on track within 24 hours. So,
And the council does know we have an I problem.
yeah.
You know, we're not talking belly buttons. It's just an
Right.
I problem.
Yeah.
So we'll keep our ears and eyes open to what you guys are asking us to
Yep.
do and as things unfold.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Wanted you to have your assurances.
Yep, thank you.
Nice meeting you too, Dave.
You as well.
Well, I think we still have to vote, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of talking, but that's what happens. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we go now to number 8, which I will look for a motion to go into executive session to convene pursuant to section Connecticut General Statute 1-200-6 to discuss matters concerning land acquisition, pending litigation, contract negotiations, to include the town's attorney. Whoever else.
Myself, and then various department heads here. We have Chief Drive,
Mhm.
we have Town Engineer Merrick Komet, we have Mike Glidden, our Town Planner, Jim Jascott, we staying for one of the items, and then also Arnett and Noel.
So we have a motion before us. Second, all those in favor? We're in executive session. We'll
Thank
just
you.
clear the room as appropriate and then start when it's appropriate.